Colorado is not just a chain of Rocky Mountain peaks or luxurious ski resorts in Aspen. Behind its dramatic landscapes, the state hides pockets of civilization that seem to challenge logic itself. From a town that celebrates a frozen corpse kept on ice, to a settlement whose official name literally means it has no name. These places show that the history of the American West was not built only on gold mines and frontier expansion, but also on remarkable human eccentricity. Each location has its own reason for being considered unusual, whether it is traditions that defy common sense, strange historical events, or communities shaped by stories that refuse to fade away. Let's explore 15 of the strangest places in the Centennial State. If you drive about 15 miles west of Boulder through winding mountain roads, you will likely arrive in Nederland. The town itself is not large, but it became internationally famous for one unusual reason: Bredo Morstwell. Bredo was a Norwegian man who died in 1989. Instead of being buried, his body was transported to Colorado by his grandson and stored in an improvised cryonics facility inside a wooden shed cooled with dry ice. Every March, the town bursts into celebration during the Frozen Dead Guy Days festival. Thousands of visitors gather to celebrate the frozen corpse with events such as coffin races, Frozen-themed costume contests, and even icy polar plunges. Technically, Bredo is long gone, but his presence has become a central part of the town's identity and local economy. Residents treat the story with pride rather than discomfort. For them, preserving a frozen body in a residential neighborhood is not something disturbing. It is a cultural tradition. Today, Bredo's body has been moved to a more modern facility nearby, but the spirit of Nederland's strange reputation remains alive at an elevation of about 2,400 meters. Moving to western Colorado, in the town of Fruita, there stands a metal statue of a chicken that appears to be missing its head. At first glance, it might look like a quirky art installation, but it actually commemorates a real story: Mike the Headless Chicken. In 1945, a local farmer attempted to slaughter Mike for dinner. However, the axe missed the main artery and brainstem, leaving Mike alive even without his head. The biological anomaly allowed Mike to survive for 18 months, during which he was fed through a dropper placed directly into his throat. Fruita has turned this bizarre story into one of its main tourist attractions. Every year, the town hosts a festival featuring races where participants run like headless chickens. Today, Fruita looks like a normal agricultural town, but if you ask the locals about Mike, they will proudly tell the story as if it were one of the most remarkable medical miracles of the 20th century. Along Interstate 70, drivers may encounter a highway sign that makes them pause in confusion. The sign simply reads, "No name." This is not a printing mistake or an act of vandalism. It is the official name of a small community located near Glenwood Canyon. The origin of the name is surprisingly simple. When the interstate highway system was being developed, planners needed to assign a name to the exit serving this small settlement. Because local residents had not yet agreed on a proper name during the drafting stage, the placeholder "No Name" was written into the documents. Ironically, the temporary label eventually became permanent. Today, No Name has become a curious destination for travelers interested in odd place names. There is no grand downtown area, just a small cluster of homes and access to a river popular with kayakers. The town serves as a reminder that in Colorado, even a bureaucratic accident can turn into a lasting identity. From a name that happened by accident we move to a place that almost feels intentionally designed to become a global center of spiritual energy. Crestone may be one of the quietest, yet most spiritually intense places in the United States. Hidden at the base of the Sangre de Cristo Mountains, this tiny town has fewer than 200 residents, but holds one of the highest concentrations of spiritual centers per capita anywhere in the country. Here, you can find a Buddhist temple, an Iraqi-style ziggurat, Hindu ashrams, and meditation communities devoted to exploring esoteric traditions. Why Crestone? Many people believe the region sits on top of a powerful earth energy vortex. Life here is drastically different from the chaos of large cities. There are no streetlights, no big supermarkets, and many homes are built using eco-friendly techniques such as earthship architecture. Crestone has become a refuge for people who feel modern life is too noisy and seek deeper meaning in the silence of the mountains, where locals sometimes claim mysterious lights appear in the night sky. A short distance from Crestone lies Hooper, where the strangeness takes on a more extraterrestrial theme. The town is home to the famous UFO Watchtower. Located in the San Luis Valley, Hooper has long been considered a hotspot for UFO sightings and unexplained livestock mutilation cases dating back to the 1960s. The Watchtower was built by Judy Messeline, who wanted to create a place where alien enthusiasts could camp and scan the skies for strange objects. Nearby is an area known as the Healing Garden, decorated with random items left behind by visitors as offerings to extraterrestrial beings. The atmosphere in Hooper can feel incredibly quiet and slightly eerie, especially when desert winds whistle through the metal structures scattered around the site. For many locals, the idea of alien visitors is not a conspiracy theory. It is simply a possibility they accept as part of life under the open sky. This town might be even stranger. Manitou Springs is famous for its natural mineral springs, but its most unusual reputation comes from the story of Emma Crawford. Emma arrived in the town in the late 1800s, hoping the mineral waters would help cure her tuberculosis. Unfortunately, she passed away and was buried high on the slopes of Red Mountain. Years later, heavy storms caused the ground around her grave to collapse, sending Emma's coffin sliding down the mountainside into the town below. Instead of being horrified, the residents eventually turned the bizarre event into a celebration. Every Halloween, Manitou Springs hosts the Emma Crawford Coffin Races. Teams of runners push decorated coffins on wheels down the main street, usually with someone dressed as Emma lying inside pretending to be a corpse. The town itself has a very artistic and eclectic vibe, but the legend of the runaway coffin remains the quirky story that makes Manitou Springs unlike any other tourist destination in Colorado. If Manitou Springs celebrates death with coffin races, the next place almost celebrates it through history that refuses to disappear. Many ghost towns across the United States have crumbled into dust, but St. Elmo is different. It is considered one of the best preserved ghost towns in Colorado. Located at an elevation of around 3,000 meters, the town's wooden buildings still stand upright as if frozen in time. Inside some of them, everyday items remain exactly where they were left when residents abandoned the town in the 1920s. Reaching St. Elmo requires traveling along partially unpaved mountain roads, but once visitors arrive, the experience feels like stepping into another century. Although it is officially classified as a ghost town, a few seasonal residents still live there, maintaining a delicate balance between living museum and quiet mountain settlement. Far to the south of Colorado, in the small town of Antonito, stands a structure that would leave almost any architect in disbelief. It is known as Cano's Castle, but despite its name, this castle is not built from stone. It is constructed from thousands of empty beer cans, car hubcaps, and other pieces of recycled metal. Dominic Cano Espinoza, a Vietnam War veteran, spent more than 30 years building the structure by himself as a way of expressing gratitude to God for surviving the war. The castle shines brightly under the sunlight because the aluminum surfaces of the cans reflect the light in every direction. Cano rarely allowed visitors inside his home, but the shimmering aluminum fortress has become a symbol of determination and eccentric creativity that stands out dramatically against the quiet landscape surrounding Antonito. And then there is Central City. Once known as the richest square mile on Earth, this town was a booming center of gold mining during the 1850s. When the gold eventually ran out, Central City nearly became another forgotten ghost town. What makes it unusual today is its transformation into a legal gambling hub hidden high in the mountains. Visitors drive through narrow roads surrounded by abandoned mines and old mining structures, only to suddenly arrive at brightly lit casinos glowing with neon lights. The contrast between the harsh mining history and the modern luxury of gambling resorts creates a strange, almost dystopian atmosphere. Yet, the town also preserves its cultural side through the historic Central City Opera House, where world-class opera performances are still held for audiences willing to climb into the mountains just to hear music echo through a former mining town. Another remarkable place is Leadville, the highest incorporated city in North America, sitting at an elevation of about 3,094 meters. Living here means constantly breathing air that contains significantly less oxygen than what most people around the world experience. The unusual aspect of Leadville lies in how its residents have adapted to these extreme conditions. The community is known for its incredible physical endurance. Every year, the town hosts a brutal 100-mile mountain marathon that pushes runners to their absolute limits. In winter, residents also celebrate a sport called skijoring, where a skier is pulled by a horse at high speed through a course set up right in the middle of town. Life in Leadville is not meant for the faint of heart. It is a place where survival itself becomes a point of pride, and even simple tasks like boiling eggs take longer due to the thin mountain air. Leaving the high mountains behind, the journey moves toward towns whose names sound almost like warnings. Out on the wide, dry plains of eastern Colorado sits a settlement called Last Chance. The name itself feels dramatic, but it came from a practical origin. In the early 20th century, this location was literally the last opportunity for travelers to refuel, find water, and buy supplies before crossing the endless prairie. For many wagon travelers and early motorists, it truly was their last chance before a long and isolated journey. Today, Last Chance is nearly a ghost town after a devastating fire destroyed much of the settlement. The name still remains on the map, though, standing as a quiet reminder for drivers passing through the region. Only a handful of houses remain, giving the area a lonely and melancholic atmosphere across the open plains. Many people assume the name of this town is connected to modern politics or gun culture, but its origin is actually far simpler, though still quite strange. In the 1800s, a soldier or hunter reportedly left his rifle leaning against a tree near a riverbank. When he returned about a year later, the rifle was still there. From that moment on, the river and the settlement nearby became known as Rifle. The town later attracted national attention because of a restaurant called Shooter's Grill, where waitstaff openly carried firearms while serving customers. Although the restaurant has since closed, Rifle's identity as a town named after a forgotten gun continues to be a memorable part of Western Colorado's local lore. What comes to mind the first time you hear the name of this town? Parachute sits along the Colorado River, surrounded by dramatic cliffs rising high above the valley. There are two popular explanations for how the town received its unusual name. The first suggests that when viewed from the cliffs above, the river and valley form a shape that resembles an open parachute. The second story, which locals often repeat with a sense of humor, tells of hunters who once became stranded on top of the steep cliffs and joked that they would need a parachute to get down safely. Today, Parachute has grown because of nearby oil and gas industries, yet its name remains one of the most unusual in the United States, often making first-time visitors imagine a town filled with extreme skydiving adventures. Meanwhile, Silverton feels like a hidden time machine. It is one of the few towns in America that still receives a daily steam train arriving from Durango, operating much the same way it did in the 1880s. The town itself sits inside the remains of an ancient volcanic caldera high in the mountains. What makes Silverton particularly unusual is its resistance to modern change. Many of the downtown streets are still made of dirt and gravel. There are no traffic lights. The large wooden buildings from the silver mining era remain in use today as shops, hotels, and restaurants. During winter, Silverton can become almost completely isolated as heavy snow closes the dangerous Red Mountain Pass along the famous $1 Million Highway. Life here revolves around isolation and a proud connection to the harsh mining past, creating an atmosphere that feels like walking through a real-life Western movie set. Finally, there is Crested Butte, often called the last great Colorado ski town. Unlike resort destinations such as Vail or Aspen, which are known for luxury and commercialization, Crested Butte has maintained a more eccentric and free-spirited character. The town is famous for residents who prefer bicycles over cars, and many of its community events involve playful and often ridiculous costumes. At one point, the town even banned cars from its main street for years in order to preserve its unique atmosphere. Community spirit is incredibly strong here. Residents celebrate everything from wildflower season to the arrival of winter with parades, dancing, and street music. Life in Crested Butte is colorful and energetic, proving that weird does not always mean unsettling. It can also mean joyful creativity thriving in the cold mountain air. Exploring these 15 strange towns across Colorado reveals something important. The identity of a place is often shaped by its anomalies rather than its similarities. From frozen bodies to towns with no names, Colorado has become a haven for people who choose to live outside ordinary expectations. In many ways, these unusual places are more than just historical curiosities. They represent the spirit of independence that lies at the heart of the American West. And perhaps that is the greatest lesson these towns offer. Sometimes, the best way to be remembered by the world is simply to be a little strange.